Welcome to Martha Family Secrets Stories. My name is Iris Tanner. I am 29 years old. And my sister stole my identity and took out $89,000 in loans under my name. When I found out and told my parents, my mother looked me dead in the eye and said, "She needed the money more than you. Stop being so selfish." My father added, "If you go to the police, we will tell them you gave her permission." So I did not go to the police. I went somewhere much worse for them. But before I tell you where that was, please subscribe and like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you are listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. Now let me take you back. 14 months before any of this, before the bank, before the documents, before the moment my life cracked open like something dropped from a great height, my phone rang at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. Mom's name on the screen. I was still in scrubs, halfway through charting vitals on a ventilator patient, feet sore, eyes burning from a shift that had already gone 3 hours too long. "Iris, the landlord is not renewing." Her voice cracked in exactly the places she wanted it to. "Your father's pension does not qualify." "My credit, you know what my credit looks like." I did know. Dad had retired after 32 years of pipe fitting, and Mom had run up store cards in her 40s that she never paid off. Their score sat somewhere south of 520. It had been there for years. "What do you need, Mom?" "Just your name on the new lease." "Same apartment. Same rent." "I would not ask if there was another way, honey. I really would not." I drove 2 hours the following Saturday. My sister Della was already at the kitchen table when I walked in. Heels. Blouse. Full makeup at 9 in the morning, which should have told me everything right there, but it told me nothing because that was just Della. She hugged me like we were at a reunion she had been looking forward to all year. "I will handle the copies," she said, and she slid my driver's license and my social security card out of the folder I had brought before I had even set my bag down. She disappeared down the hallway to Mom's printer. I heard it whirring. I did not think a single thing about it. I signed the lease at the landlord's office that afternoon. Name, date of birth, social security number, employer, salary. Everything a person would need to become me on paper. Della handed the folder back in the parking lot. "All set, sis." Her phone was in her other hand, screen still lit, and she was already half looking at it. I did not think about it. She was family. You do not audit family. On the drive home, I checked my credit score the way I always did on the first of the month. 780. I had earned every single point of it. 6 years of on-time payments, low utilization, 0 collections, no mistakes. I took a screenshot and saved it to a folder on my phone labeled House Fund. That screenshot is still there. It is the last record of the life I had before my sister decided she deserved it more. Let me tell you about Della. 4 years older than me. 5 inches taller. The kind of woman who walks into a room and rearranges the gravity in it without even trying. Every family gathering, every church potluck, every Thanksgiving dinner, Della arrived last and got noticed first. Mom introduced us the same way every single time, for as long as I can remember. "This is my eldest, Della. She is in real estate." Pause. Smile. Then, almost as an afterthought, almost like she was reading the footnotes of her own life, "And this is Iris. She is a nurse." A nurse. Like I emptied bedpans for a living. Like keeping people alive on ventilators at 3 in the morning was something I did to pass the time. Della played the part beautifully. Designer bag for Mom's birthday. Dinner at the Italian place in the next town over, the one with the cloth napkins and the bread basket they refill without you asking. She always picked up the check with a flourish, sliding her card across the table like she was closing a deal. I never asked where the money came from. I really should have. Here is what I knew that nobody else did. 2 years before the lease signing, Della called me at 2 in the morning, sobbing so hard I could barely make out her words. A client had filed a complaint. She had sold them a house and failed to disclose a cracked foundation. The State Real Estate Commission opened an investigation. 3 months later, her license was suspended. She begged me not to tell anyone. Mom would die, she said. Iris, please. And I kept that secret for 2 full years. 2 years. I watched her post old listing photos on social media like nothing had changed. I watched Mom brag about her real estate daughter at Sunday brunch. I said nothing, because that was what I did in this family. I kept things running. I kept my mouth shut. I carried what I was handed and I smiled about it. I need you to understand what I was working toward, because without this, the rest of the story is just numbers on a page. 6 years. That is how long I had been saving for a down payment on a house. Not a dream house. I was not delusional about what I could afford. A 2-bedroom with a patched roof and a backyard that needed mowing. Listed at $165,000 in a neighborhood where the street lights still worked. The kind of place where you could sit on the front porch in the evening and hear nothing but crickets. I had done the math 100 times. $28,000 for the down payment and closing costs. I could tell you the exact number of night shifts that went into it. Every Christmas I worked so someone else could be home with their kids. Every time I packed lunch instead of buying from the hospital cafeteria. Every canceled streaming service. Every January I went without a new winter coat. $28,000. Sitting in a high-yield savings account I checked every Sunday morning like other people check their horoscopes. I scheduled the appointment with the loan officer for a Wednesday, my day off. His name was Craig. I ironed a blouse. I printed my pay stubs. I drove to the bank 20 minutes early and sat in the parking lot going over nothing in my head because I genuinely did not think there was anything to go over. My credit was 780. My debt-to-income ratio was clean. This was supposed to be the easiest yes of my life. One thing I should mention. The week before that appointment, I got a call from an out-of-state number. A woman on the line asked me to confirm my recent personal loan application. I told her she had the wrong person and hung up. I thought it was a scam call. It was not. Craig's cubicle smelled like coffee and carpet cleaner. He had a family photo on his desk. 2 kids and a golden retriever. He shook my hand, pulled up my file, and started typing. Then he stopped typing. He looked at the screen for a long time. Too long. The kind of silence that changes the temperature of a room without anyone touching the thermostat. Miss Tanner, can I ask, have you recently opened any new credit accounts? No. He turned his monitor toward me. I saw the number before I understood it. 489. I stared at it the way you stare at a car accident in your own driveway. Your brain knows what it is seeing, but your body simply refuses to agree. My mother moved fast. Faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks of my phone call with her, she had been busy. Not calling me. Calling everyone around me. Aunt Cecile. The ladies from her Bible study group. Neighbors she had known for 30 years. She told them all the same story, the same careful, worried version of events. Iris has been under a lot of stress at work. She is saying things about Della that are not true. We are really worried about her. The first text came from Aunt Cecile on a Thursday afternoon. Honey, your mama is worried about you. Maybe you need to talk to someone. Talk to someone. She meant a therapist. She meant your mother called me and told me you are unraveling, and I believed her without asking a single question. Then Della posted on social media. A photo from 2 Christmases ago. The 4 of us around the tree. Mom in her red sweater. Dad holding the carving knife. Della and me shoulder to shoulder. The caption read simply, "Family sticks together no matter what." 43 likes. 7 heart reactions. A comment from Mom underneath. My girls, always. I read it standing in the break room at the hospital and felt something tighten behind my sternum, like a stitch pulling slowly closed. In a small town, reputation is currency. And my mother had been spending mine for 2 weeks without telling me she was doing it. At the grocery store, Linda from the church choir smiled too hard and asked how I was really doing. At the gas station, Mr. Garner, who had known my father for 40 years, looked at me the way people look at someone collecting cans on the side of the road. Pity cut with distance. I was becoming the family problem. The difficult one. The daughter who made things up. But there was one person in my family who had not called me crazy. I did not know that yet. Her name was Aunt Ruth, and she had been standing exactly where I was standing 10 years before me. I kept thinking about that phone call. The one from the week before the bank appointment. The woman with the out-of-state number asking me to confirm a personal loan. I scrolled back through my call history and found it. Area code 614. Ohio. I pressed dial before I could talk myself out of it. Federated Lending Group, how may I direct your call? Someone called me last week about a personal loan in my name. I did not apply for it. 20 minutes and 3 transfers later, a fraud specialist named Dawn confirmed it. A $12,000 personal loan had been opened using my social security number, my date of birth, and a mailing address I did not recognize. A P.O. box 40 minutes south of where I lived. I pulled my full credit report that night. When the file loaded, I had to read it twice because my hands would not stop shaking. 6 accounts. Opened over 14 months, not all at once. One every 2 to 3 months, rotating between lenders in different states. Small enough increments to stay just under the threshold for automated fraud alerts. Whoever had done this understood the system. They had studied it. They had been patient. The mailing address on every single account was the same P.O. box. All correspondence, all statements, all late notices, everything had been routed there. I had never seen a single piece of mail. Then I found the date on the first account. A credit card with an $8,000 limit, approved 3 days after I signed that lease for Mom. 3 days. She had not taken my information as an afterthought. She had not stumbled into this in a moment of desperation. Della had walked into my mother's kitchen that Saturday morning with a plan already built. The lease was the lockpick. My social security number was the door. And Mom's desperate late-night phone call, I do not know if that was even real anymore. Marcus noticed before I said a word. We were restocking the ambulance bay at the end of a 12-hour shift, the kind of night where you lose 2 patients and save 1 and feel nothing about any of it because the paperwork will not let you stop long enough to feel anything at all. I was labeling 4 kits. Silent. Hands moving on autopilot. You have not said anything in 4 hours, he said. Marcus Webb. Paramedic. Built like a linebacker. Gentle like a librarian. We had worked the same rotation for 3 years. He knew what my silence meant because he had never seen it before. I am fine. You are not. And you do not have to tell me what it is. But if you do, it stays right here. So I told him all of it. The lease. The accounts. The $89,000. Mom's phone call. Dad's rehearsed threat. The P.O. box. Marcus leaned against the ambulance and listened without interrupting once. When I finished, he did not offer sympathy. He offered a name. My cousin's ex-wife went through something like this. Her brother-in-law opened cards in her name. She used a lawyer named Karen Pruitt. Consumer Protection. Office over in Millfield, 40 minutes from here. I called Karen the next morning. She answered her own phone. Small practice, 2 paralegals, no receptionist. I gave her the short version. This is textbook familial identity theft, she said. Here is what we do and here is what we do not do. We file an FTC report. We freeze your credit at all 3 bureaus. We dispute every fraudulent account. And we do not yet, go to the police. Why not? Because your mother already has a counter story prepared. If you walk into a precinct right now, she will walk in behind you and say you authorized everything. We need a file that speaks louder than her word. She paused. Is there anyone in your family who might confirm what you are telling me? Anyone who has seen your mother's pattern before? I had not spoken to Aunt Ruth in almost a decade. Not because I did not want to. Because the cost had always been too high. After Mom cut Ruth out of the family, any mention of her name at the dinner table earned a silence so thick you could choke on it. Calling Ruth meant choosing a side. And in our family, sides came with consequences that lasted years. But that night, I picked up the phone. It rang 5 times. I almost hung up on the 4th ring. Hello? Her voice was deeper than I remembered. Cautious. The way people answer numbers they do not recognize anymore. Aunt Ruth. It is Iris. A long breath. Not a sigh. More like a door opening after being stuck for a very long time. Iris. Oh, sweetheart. I was not sure I would ever hear from you. I gave her the facts. No editorializing. Just dates, dollar amounts, and what Mom had said on the phone. Ruth was quiet for a long time. Then, I am not surprised, honey. Not even a little bit. She told me what happened 10 years ago. She had discovered that my mother had borrowed money from the church women's ministry fund. $800, attributed to a bookkeeping error. Ruth had confronted her privately. Mom denied it. Ruth pushed. Within a month, Mom had told every relative and friend that Ruth was jealous because she never had children of her own and was trying to destroy the family. My father chose Mom. Everyone chose Mom. Ruth spent the next decade on the outside looking in. Your mother does not protect family, Ruth said. She protects the story of the family. And anyone who threatens the story gets erased. Then she told me something that made my stomach drop straight through the floor. She did it to your father too, you know. 15 years ago. She opened a credit card in his name without telling him. He found out. He never said a single word about it. How do you know that? Because Earl told me the week before your mother made sure I disappeared. That was the moment I understood. My father was never going to stand up. Not for me. Not for himself. Not for anyone in that house. Let me pause here for a moment, because I know some of you have been screaming at your screen for the past 10 minutes. Just go to the police, Iris. And I hear you. I truly do. But here is the thing Karen said to me that I will never forget. The legal system will handle the debt. But the court of public opinion is where your mother lives. That is where you need the truth to land first. She was right. In a small town, what people believe about you on Monday morning matters more than what a detective writes in a report on Friday. My mother understood that better than anyone. And she had a 2-week head start on me. So let me ask you something. If your own family had already turned the neighborhood against you and you had a recording of your mother basically admitting she knew everything, what would you do with it? Would you play it for the police? Would you play it for a judge? Or would you wait for exactly the right moment when it would matter the most? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Because what I built over the next 3 weeks, the paper trail, the frozen accounts, the notarized affidavit, the recording that my mother did not know existed, all of it was moving toward a single night. A dinner. A party for 47 people. And a Bluetooth speaker that Aunt Ruth had already quietly tested 2 hours before anyone arrived. The next 3 weeks moved on 2 parallel tracks. The first was my regular life. 12-hour shifts. Charting. Codes. The relentless machinery of keeping strangers alive while your own life sits in pieces on the floor at home. The second was Karen Pruitt's checklist, and I worked it like a second job. Monday, I filed the FTC identity theft report online. 40 minutes. Confirmation number saved in 3 places. My email, a screenshot, and a printed copy in a manila folder I kept in my car. Tuesday, credit freeze. Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. 3 calls, 3 pins, 3 confirmations. Nobody could open a new account in my name. Not Della. Not anyone. Wednesday through the following Friday, dispute letters. 1 for each of the 6 fraudulent accounts, each one stapled to a copy of the FTC report and a notarized affidavit I had signed before a notary at the UPS store on Elm Street. A sworn statement, signed under penalty of perjury, declaring that I had not opened, authorized, or benefited from any of those accounts. Karen filed requests with the creditors for copies of the original applications. 3 of the 6 responded within 2 weeks. The signatures on those applications were not mine. They were not even close. My handwriting is small and tight. 6 years of charting in narrow margins does that to your hand. The signatures on those forms were looping, wide, and confident. I had seen that handwriting on birthday cards my entire life. But the detail that made Karen go very quiet was on the second application. A personal loan for $15,000. Under the employer field, someone had written Towsley Realty, the brokerage where Della had worked before her license was suspended. A company she could no longer legally represent. Listed as my employer. 3 forged signatures, Karen said. And she listed you as an employee of a company she was barred from. That is not a misunderstanding, Iris. That is a federal crime. The invitation arrived on a Saturday. Tucked inside a cream-colored envelope with gold script. You are cordially invited to celebrate 35 years of love. Gloria and Earl Tanner. Riverside Grill. Saturday the 19th. 6 o'clock. Dinner, toasts, and dancing. 50+ guests. 3 generations. Neighbors. Church friends. Pastor Collins. The Women's Ministry Circle. Margaret Dunbar herself, owner of the restaurant and chair of every committee that mattered in our town. My phone buzzed an hour after I opened the envelope. Della. You are coming, right? Mom really wants you there. Her voice had that honey-coated warmth she kept in reserve for when she needed something. Let us put this behind us, Iris. It is their night. Let us put this behind us. $89,000. 6 forged signatures. A credit score in ruins. A house I could no longer buy. Let us put it behind us. I understood exactly what she was asking. Show up. Smile. Pose for the photo. Give Mom her perfect family tableau in front of the whole town. If I stayed home, I would be the ungrateful daughter, the proof of everything Mom had been whispering for weeks. I will be there, I said. Really? Oh, that is wonderful. Mom will be so happy. I hung up and called Karen. The anniversary party is in 3 weeks. I cannot advise you to make a scene, Karen said. But I can tell you that every document is in order. Your FTC report is on file. Your disputes are active. Your affidavit is notarized and dated. Thank you, Karen. Then I called Aunt Ruth. I know about the party, she said before I could even finish my sentence. I am doing the flowers. Your mother hired me because I am the only florist in town and she would rather swallow glass than use the one in Millfield. A dry little laugh. I will be there setting up from 4 o'clock. If you need me, I am right there. Now let me take you back 2 years, because what I am about to tell you is the thing Della was most afraid of. More than the debt. More than the forged signatures. More than any of it. It was a Wednesday at 2 in the morning. My phone lit up. Della crying so hard I could barely understand a single word. They are suspending my license, she said. A family had bought a house through her. 3 months after closing, they found structural damage in the foundation she had known about and had not disclosed. The buyers filed a complaint. The investigation took 90 days. License suspended, effective immediately. If Mom finds out, she will never look at me the same way, Della said. You know how she is. Please. Please do not tell anyone. And I did not. For 2 years I watched my sister walk into family dinners wearing blazers and talking about the market. I watched her post old listing photos online with captions about happy buyers. I watched Mom beam with pride every single time someone asked about Della's career. It was all performance. Every brunch, every holiday, every casual mention of a closing. Fiction. Della had not earned a commission in over 2 years. But the shoes still cost $200. The handbag still cost $400. The dinners still went on her card, or as I now knew, on mine. She had run out of her own credit first. Then she found a new source. Me. My name. My future. My 780. I kept her secret for 2 years. She used my identity for 14 months. That is the math of my family. 3 days before the party, Della called again. Cheerful, breezy, like nothing in the world was wrong. I am writing a speech for Mom and Dad about family values. About loyalty. About how they raised us to be honest. She actually laughed. The easy, performative kind. I might cry giving it, fair warning. Sounds great, Della. Do you want to add anything? Like a joint thing? No, your speech, your moment. Oh good. Also, I found this gorgeous dress, navy blue, $400, but it is their anniversary, you only get one. $400. I could calculate exactly which credit card that had gone on. I knew the account numbers by heart at that point. That night, after a 10-hour shift, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and laid everything out. FTC identity theft report, printed and highlighted. Credit freeze confirmations from all 3 bureaus. Notarized affidavit. Copies of the 3 forged signatures side by side with my actual signature from my nursing license renewal. And the recording. I did not prepare an attack speech. I did not write an exposé. I opened a box of plain white envelopes and placed a single typed page inside each one. A timeline. The account numbers. The FTC report reference number. A line at the bottom that read, "This information is also on file with an attorney." I sealed 5 envelopes. Not 50. 5. I did not need the whole room to read it. I just needed the right 5 people. I will tell you who they were. But not yet. Now, I need to pause here for a second, because I know some of you are thinking, Iris, why 5 people? Why not just hand them to everyone or go straight to the police and skip the party altogether? And here is my honest answer. My mother had been building her version of this story for weeks. She had called people one by one, carefully, giving them just enough to feel worried about me and loyal to her. The only way to undo that was not to fight it in a police station. It was to let the truth walk into the same room where the lie had been living and stand there quietly until people could see both at the same time. 5 was enough. In a small town, 5 people with the right information can reach everyone else before breakfast. The night before the party, I sat on the floor of my apartment with a bowl of cereal I was not eating. I stared at the photo on my refrigerator. The house listing I had saved 4 months ago, back when my credit score still started with a 7. 2 bedrooms. 1 bath. A porch that sagged on the left side. A backyard where someone had planted a dogwood tree 20 years ago and never trimmed it. The listing had sold to someone else 2 weeks after the bank turned me down. I put the cereal in the sink and called Aunt Ruth. I will be there from 4 setting up centerpieces, she said. You know your mother wanted hydrangeas in November. I told her that would cost double. She said it was worth it for the photos. A pause. For the photos, Iris. That is who she is. Ruth, are you sure about this? Honey, your mother erased me 10 years ago for telling the truth about $800. What is she going to do, erase me twice? I texted Marcus 1 word. Tomorrow. His reply came back in seconds. You have got this. And you have got the paperwork to prove it. I lay down at midnight. Sleep did not come. I kept hearing Mom's voice. Not the threat. The other thing. Stop being so selfish. Like wanting my credit score back was greed. Like wanting a house was vanity. Then I thought about 489. The number on Craig's screen. The number Della put there. I set my alarm for 5. In 13 hours, either I would still have a family, or I would have my life back. I did not think I could have both. The Riverside Grill parking lot was already full when I pulled in at 5:45. The restaurant sat at the edge of town. White clapboard, green shutters, a porch with rocking chairs nobody ever used except in photographs. For a small town, this was the venue. Weddings. Retirements. Milestone anniversaries. If it mattered, it happened here. I counted plates through the window as I walked to the door. 47. 3 long tables arranged in a U-shape. A banner stretched across the back wall in gold letters. Happy 35th anniversary, Gloria and Earl. Gold balloons, white candles, and Ruth's arrangements. White roses with eucalyptus. Elegant and precise. Honestly, the only honest thing in that room. Inside, the noise hit me first. Laughter. Clinking glasses. Pastor Collins near the bar holding a ginger ale. Aunt Cecile in a floral dress, whispering to Uncle Ray. Dad's older brother, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who still shook hands like it meant something. Margaret Dunbar, the restaurant owner and head of the Women's Ministry Board, directing a waitress near the cake table. And there was Mom. Purple dress. Pearl earrings. Moving through the crowd like a candidate working a room. A hug here. A laugh there. A hand on every shoulder. Dad trailed behind her. Nodding. Smiling a smile that did not make it past his jawline. Then Della. The navy dress. $400 of it. Standing near the microphone stand with a folded piece of paper in her left hand. The speech. She spotted me across the room and waved bright and wide like I was someone she had not seen in years and had been waiting for. I wore a gray blouse, black slacks, and flat shoes. My bag hung from my left shoulder. Inside it, 5 envelopes and my phone. Mom caught my eye across the room. Her smile tightened at the edges. She crossed to me and leaned in close. You came. Good. Sit down. I sat right next to Ruth's station by the flower table. Ruth adjusted a centerpiece and glanced at me sideways. I gave her a small nod. Not yet. Della waited until dessert was being served. Classic timing. Everyone seated. Coffee poured. Nowhere to go. She picked up the microphone from the stand near the head table, tapped it twice, and flashed the smile that had been opening doors for her since she was 16 years old. Good evening, everyone. The room settled. Forks went down. 47 faces turned toward her. 35 years. Can you believe it? 35 years of love, sacrifice, and honesty. She looked at Mom. Mom dabbed her eye with a napkin right on cue. Mom and Dad taught us that family comes first, always, no matter what. They taught us that integrity is something you practice, not something you preach. A murmur of agreement from the church ladies' table. Pastor Collins nodded along. They taught us that loyalty is not just a word. It is a way of life, and I carry that with me every single day. Della turned to me. Her eyes softened. Practiced. Deliberate. Warm in exactly the way performances are warm. And to my little sister, Iris. Thank you for always being there. I do not say it enough, but I see you. Applause. Warm, generous applause. Mom reached for Dad's hand. Dad let her take it. Aunt Cecile mouthed so sweet from 2 tables away. Margaret Sullivan raised her glass. I sat there looking at 47 people clapping for the woman who stole my future and the parents who helped her bury it. integrity, honesty, loyalty. She said those words into a microphone in a room full of people who trusted her. Wearing a dress she bought with my name. Della set the microphone back on the stand. Ruth caught my eye from across the room. She did not speak. She did not need to. She tilted her chin just barely. Whenever you are ready, sweetheart. I pushed my chair back. I stood up. And I did not sit back down. I did not rush. I walked to the microphone the way I walk into a patient's room at 3 in the morning when the monitors start screaming. Steady hands. Clear head. No wasted motion. A few people smiled, assuming I was about to give a sweet little addition to the toast. The younger daughter, following her sister's lead. Mom's eyes tracked me from across the room like a scope. Her jaw went tight. Della laughed, light and nervous. Iris, what are you doing? I would like to say a few words about this family, if that is all right. I reached for the microphone. Della did not move to stop me. Not in front of the room. Appearances mattered too much. Mom's voice came low and sharp from the head table. Iris. Sit down. I looked at her straight on. Not with anger. Not with tears. With the kind of calm that comes when you have already lost everything that was supposed to scare you. No, Mom. I think it is time everyone here heard from both your daughters. The room went still. Not quiet. Still. The difference is that quiet can be comfortable. Stillness never is. I opened my bag and placed 5 white envelopes on the table beside the microphone. I did not open them. Not yet. Dad stood from his chair. His napkin slid off his lap. Iris. Please. Not here. I turned to face him. My father. The man who taught me to ride a bike and never once taught me that I mattered. Dad, you had 14 months to say not here. You chose every single one of those months to say nothing. He sat down. The way a man sits when the last rope holding him up has been cut. 47 pairs of eyes. Nobody chewed. Nobody drank. Nobody breathed too loudly. I picked up the microphone. I am not here to ruin my parents' anniversary, I said. My voice was level. I had practiced level. Not cold. Just clear. The voice I use when I have to tell a family their person is on a ventilator and we need to discuss next steps. I am here because 14 months ago, my sister opened 4 credit cards and 2 personal loans under my name. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. The total is $89,000. My credit score went from 780 to 489. 2 months ago, I was denied a home loan because of debt I did not know existed. The silence was so complete I could hear ice shifting in someone's water glass. Mom shot to her feet. She is lying. Iris, sit down right now. I did not flinch. Mom, you do not need to take my word for it. You can take yours. Ruth had connected my phone to the restaurant's Bluetooth speaker system 2 hours earlier while arranging flowers on the cake table. She had tested the volume with a short audio clip to make sure it was right. Nobody questions the florist adjusting the audio setup. I pressed play. My mother's voice filled every corner of Riverside Grill. She borrowed your name. Families do that. A gasp from somewhere near Aunt Cecile's table. If she did, it is because she was desperate. You do not know what it is like to struggle. Margaret Dunbar set her glass down without drinking. Then the last part. My mother's voice, low and precise and completely unmistakable. If you bring this up at the party, I will make sure everyone in this town knows what kind of daughter you are. I stopped the recording. The room did not move. Pastor Collins removed his glasses and set them on the table very carefully. My mother's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. That is taken out of context. The context is $89,000 of debt under my name, Mom. What context makes that acceptable? Della stepped forward, hands raised, smiling the way people smile when the building is on fire and they are pretending it is just the barbecue. This is ridiculous. I can explain all of this. I turned to her. Then explain this. I held up the printed copies of the forged loan application side by side with my actual signature from my nursing license renewal. This is your handwriting, Della. On a loan application with my social security number. Della's smile collapsed. Not slowly. All at once, like a window hit by a rock. She did not deny the handwriting. She could not. Instead, her voice cracked upward into something raw and desperate and completely unguarded. You do not understand what I was going through. 47 people heard it. Not a denial. A confession dressed as an excuse. I set the microphone down and picked up the envelopes. I did not toss them across the room. I did not wave them in the air. I walked them to 5 specific people, one at a time, the way you deliver medication. Precise. Intentional. No drama required. The first went to Pastor Collins. He had baptized both Della and me. He had sat in the front pew of my mother's moral authority for 2 decades. I placed the envelope in front of him. This contains a summary and the FTC report reference number. I thought you should have it. He looked at me over his glasses and nodded once. The second went to Aunt Cecile, the woman who had texted me suggesting I needed to talk to someone. I set it beside her coffee cup. Mom told you I was making things up. These are 3 signatures that prove I was not. Her hand went to her chest. Her eyes filled with tears. The third went to Margaret Dunbar, chair of the women's ministry, employer of half the catering staff in the room. The woman whose opinion could move an entire town by Tuesday morning. This is a copy of my credit report showing 6 accounts I never opened. I am not asking you to do anything with it. I am asking you to know. Margaret held my gaze and did not look away. The fourth went to Uncle Ray, Dad's older brother. Sitting 3 chairs from Earl. He had served 30 years in the army and he did not tolerate liars, not even quietly. This is a transcript of the recording you just heard. All of it. Ray opened the envelope immediately and started reading. The fifth went to Ruth. She was standing by the flower table, hands clasped, steady as a lighthouse in a storm. She already knew every word inside that envelope. But I wanted her to hold it in her hands in this room, in front of these people, in front of my mother. You were right, Aunt Ruth. For 10 years, you were right. Ruth pressed the envelope to her chest and looked at my mother across the room. She did not speak. She did not need to say a single word. I turned back to the room. I filed an FTC identity theft report. My credit is frozen. Every fraudulent account is being disputed. I am not asking anyone here to pick sides. I am asking you to know the truth. My mother's voice came through clenched teeth. You will regret this. No, Mom. The only thing I regret is signing that lease. Della stepped forward, palms out, the damage control smile already loading. She knew this role perfectly. The reasonable one. The bridge builder. The voice that smoothed everything over and made everyone comfortable again. Everyone, please. This is a family matter. Iris is upset and I completely understand that. Yes, I made a mistake. I had a rough year and I leaned on my sister more than I should have. But this does not belong here. It is between us. It was a good performance. Measured. Almost believable. The room wanted to believe it. You could see it in the way shoulders started to loosen, the way a few heads began to nod. Then Uncle Ray spoke. He had been reading the transcript quietly this whole time. He looked up from the page the way a man looks up from a bill he was not expecting. Slow. Deliberate. Della, one of these loan applications lists your employer as Towsley Realty. He held the page at arm's length, reading glasses low on his nose. You have been telling everyone you are still in real estate. Are you? The room pivoted. Every single head turned to Della. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out for 3 full seconds. I am between positions right now. Ray pulled out his phone and typed with one thumb. Unhurried. Methodical. The room watched him scroll. 10 seconds. 15. The State Real Estate Commission website says your license was suspended 2 years ago. Disciplinary action. It is public record. He set the phone face up on the table. Anyone here can look it up themselves. The murmur that moved through the room was not shock. It was recalibration. Every boast. Every brunch story. The market is so crazy right now. 2 years of it. All fiction. And I had not said a single word. Ray's question did what no accusation from me ever could have. It came from inside the family, from the brother my father respected most, and it carried the weight of a man who had never once been called dramatic in his life. My mother turned to Della. Her face had gone the color of raw flour. Is that true? Della said nothing. And then my father spoke for the first time all evening. His voice cracked on the first word. It is true, Gloria. He paused for a long breath. I knew. Iris told me 2 years ago. Another pause. And you told me to keep quiet. The banner above them caught the overhead light. Happy 35th anniversary. Gold letters gleaming over a table where nobody was celebrating anything anymore. I placed the microphone back on its stand gently. The way you set down something that was never really yours to begin with. I love my parents, I said, and I meant every word of it, which is the part that makes all of this so much harder than anger. I loved growing up in this town. But love does not mean letting someone steal your future and then being told to smile about it. I picked up my bag. The legal process will continue regardless of what happens in this room tonight. I wish everyone a good evening. I turned and walked toward the door. I did not look back at the tables. I did not look at Della. I did not scan the room for reactions. When I passed Dad, he reached out and caught my hand for just a second. His grip was weak. But it was there. His eyes were red, and his mouth was working like he was searching for words that had not been written down for him this time. He did not find them. I did not wait for them. But I squeezed back once. Then I let go. The front door closed behind me with a soft click. The parking lot was dark and cool. November air that stings your lungs and wakes you all the way up. I stood next to my car and breathed. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. The way I teach patients' families to breathe when the news has just knocked them sideways and their legs have forgotten how to work. Ruth appeared beside me. Her coat folded over her arm. You did it, she said. I do not feel victorious. That is how you know you did the right thing, sweetheart. Through the restaurant window, I could see the room I had left behind. My mother alone at the head table. Della's chair empty. Uncle Ray and Pastor Collins standing together near the bar. Aunt Cecile crying with both hands pressed to her mouth. The banner still hung on the wall. Happy 35th anniversary. Nobody was looking at it anymore. The first domino fell within 48 hours. Pastor Collins called my mother on Monday morning. Not to pray with her. Not to offer comfort or counsel. To inform her that the church leadership had met after Sunday service and agreed unanimously that it would be best if she stepped down from the Women's Ministry Organizing Committee. He used the word encouraged. My mother heard removed. Both were accurate. By Tuesday, my phone started buzzing with messages I had not expected. Aunt Cecile. Iris, I owe you an apology. Your mother told me you were making things up. I believed her without asking you a single question first. That was wrong and I am so sorry. She sent it as a voice memo. Her voice cracked on the word sorry, and I had to listen to it twice because the first time my ears could not quite accept it. Mrs. Henderson, 79 years old, Mom's neighbor and closest friend since before I was born, called my mother that same evening. Ruth heard about it from a mutual friend. Mrs. Henderson said, "I have known you 30 years, Gloria. I never thought you would let this happen to your own child." My mother hung up on her. Mrs. Henderson told the pastor's wife. By Wednesday, more people knew. And in a small town, people might as well be a press release. Della went completely dark. Her social media page, the one full of fake open houses and inspirational quotes about showing up every day, had not been updated since the night of the party. Nobody in the extended family responded to her texts. Uncle Ray blocked her number without any announcement. On my end, the legal process moved forward the way legal processes do. Slowly on paper, without any drama at all. 2 of the 6 fraudulent accounts were officially removed from my credit report within the first week. Dispute letters for the remaining 4 were under active review. Karen called it ahead of schedule. I went to work. I clocked in on time. I did not tell my coworkers anything. Marcus asked me once at the end of a shift, "How are you doing?" "I am standing," I said. He nodded. That was enough. Then on Friday evening, Dad called. He did not apologize. Not exactly. What he said was, "I should have said something a long time ago. Not just about this." I listened. I did not respond right away. After a long pause I said, "Okay, Dad," and hung up. It was the longest conversation we had shared in 2 years. Which tells you everything you need to know about the man who raised me. Della waited 10 days. I think she was hoping it would blow over, that the town would forget, that Mom would fix it the way she always had, that the world would rearrange itself around her the way it always had before. It did not. She called on a Thursday night. No pleasantries. No honey in her voice. The mask was off and what was underneath it sounded like a stranger. "You think you won, Iris? This is not about winning. I will call every creditor. I will tell them you authorized those accounts. It will be your word against mine, and you know I am more convincing than you." I let her finish. Then I spoke the way I speak to patients' families when they are threatening to escalate because they are frightened and do not know what else to do. Calm. Factual. Without a single tremor. "Go ahead, Della. But you should know I have an FTC identity theft report on file, dated and time-stamped. I have a notarized affidavit signed under penalty of perjury. I have 3 of your forged signatures that any handwriting examiner will confirm are not mine. I have a recording of Mom admitting she knew. And one more thing. Your real estate license suspension is public knowledge now. Uncle Ray made sure of that. If you tell a creditor I authorized those loans and list Towsley Realty as my employer, a company you were barred from, you will not just be defending yourself against forgery. You will be adding to it." The line went dead. I called Karen. She threatened to dispute my claims with the creditors. "Let her," Karen said. "The documentation does not support her version. And if she files a false statement with a federally regulated lender, that is a separate offense. She would be handing you another charge on a silver platter." Della never called those creditors. She never filed a counter statement. She never called me again. That was her last move. And it was the moment I knew, not believed, knew that this was over. Not because she felt remorse. But because she had finally run out of people willing to lie for her. Tell me in the comments if you have ever been in a moment like that one, the moment the last lie runs out of road. And if you have dealt with something similar, share your story. You are not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Now let me step outside the story for a moment, because I have received a lot of messages asking me this one question. Do you feel guilty? And honestly, sometimes at 2 in the morning between shifts, staring at the ceiling, I wonder if there was a version of this where I got my credit back and kept my family. If there was a path where nobody had to sit in a restaurant listening to their mother's voice come out of a speaker. But then I remember that I tried to handle it differently. I went to my mother's kitchen table and asked her to help me make it right. And she looked me in the eye and told me she would bury me. The hardest part of all of this was not the money. It was not the credit score. It was realizing that in my family, the person who tells the truth is the problem. Not the person who steals. 3 weeks after the party, I came home from a double shift and almost stepped on it. A plain white envelope on the floor slid under my apartment door. No stamp. No return address. Just my name and handwriting I had known my entire life. My father's. All caps, slightly crooked, the way a man writes who spent 40 years gripping wrenches instead of pens. I sat down on the kitchen floor and opened it. Inside, a personal check made out to me for $4,200. And a note written on yellow legal pad paper, folded twice. Iris, this will not fix your credit. But it is everything I have. I have been doing side jobs since I retired. Fixing faucets, replacing water heaters. Your mother does not know about this account. This is all of it. I am sorry I was not braver. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then I did something I had not done since the day I sat in Craig's cubicle and saw 489 on that screen. I cried. Not the polite kind. Not the dignified kind that nurses do quietly in the break room after a hard code. The kind where your whole body participates. Where your ribs ache and your hands will not stop shaking and you cannot tell if you are grieving or healing or both at the same time. $4,200 against $89,000. It was nothing, mathematically. And it was everything. Because it was all he had and he gave it without being asked. I left the envelope on the table for 3 days. I walked past it in the morning. Past it at night. On the 4th day I called him. Dad, I am not cashing this check. A long breath. I understand. But I am keeping the note. Silence. Then, quietly, your mother and I are going to counseling. The pastor arranged it. I did not ask questions. I did not push. That is good, Dad. I hung up and taped the note to my refrigerator. Right next to the photo of the house I could not buy. The 2 most honest pieces of paper in my life, side by side. 6 months later, my credit score is 620. Not 780. But every single point on that number is mine. Earned clean. Disputed clean. Rebuilt from the wreckage with patience and paperwork and a lot of nights that did not look like progress until they did. 5 of the 6 fraudulent accounts have been removed. The 6th is in its final dispute stage. Karen says it will be resolved within 60 days. Della is being sued by 2 creditors for unpaid balances under her real name. The debts she could not hide behind mine anymore. Her suspended license is now common knowledge in every real estate circle within 100 miles. My mother cannot fix that with a phone call. My mother resigned from the women's ministry. She still attends church, but she sits in the back row now. Mrs. Henderson does not save her a seat anymore. Dad and I talk every 2 weeks. Short calls. Careful words. We are not rebuilt. We are under construction. And I am okay with slow. Ruth and I have dinner every Thursday. She is teaching me how to arrange flowers. I am terrible at it. She says that is the point. I transferred my mother's lease into her own name. Karen helped me navigate the process. 30 days notice to the landlord. New application under mom's information. My name removed. Done. There is no longer a single financial thread connecting me to my parents or my sister. Not a lease. Not a card. Not a signature. Not one. I told my mother 3 things in a voicemail she has never acknowledged. I will not lend my name to anyone. I will not lend my credit to anyone. And I will not lend my silence to anyone. Not anymore. I have not bought a house yet. My credit needs another 12 to 18 months. But the plan is alive again. Different numbers. Same dogwood tree dream. On my refrigerator there are now two things. A printed photo of a house listing I saved to remind me where I am going. And a handwritten note from my father to remind me what it costs when good people stay quiet for too long. Both stay. I did not tell this story to teach anyone a lesson. I am a nurse, not a preacher. I told it because for 14 months, I was silent. And that silence almost cost me everything. My credit. My home. My sense of what was real. If my story sounds familiar to you, if you are sitting somewhere right now holding a secret that someone else made you carry, I just want you to know one thing. Protecting yourself is not betrayal. It never was. That is my story. Thank you for staying until the very end. It means more than you know. If this hit close to home, leave a comment. I read every single one. If you know someone who needs to hear this, a friend, a sister, someone who has been too quiet for too long, send them this video. And if you have not subscribed yet, I would love to have you here.